favorite patterns for Kentucky tailwaters are midges. All of our tailwaters have them, and probably one of my favorite midges to tie are vinyl rib midges. They're super easy to tie, and they seem to work really good, I think, with that segmented, translucent look. Tonight's midge is going to be what I call a blood midge. It's kind of my version. I use a size 16 curved hook, like a scud hook, and then I use a 1/64 inch tungsten bead, so it gives it some weight. I'm going to start and put a few thread wraps behind that bead, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap the thread back there to the back of the hook. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie in the blood part, which is just a little piece of red crystal flash that I'm going to want to work on, focus on trying to get on the bottom of the hook. So I'm going to put a couple wraps around here, pull it down kind of underneath, snug it up a little bit, and then I'm going to trim the back part of this off because I'm going to run it up the hook. The next thing I'm going to tie in is my vinyl rib. I'm going to use an amber. It's going to get pretty dark once we get it going. And I'm going to start it here in the back, down here on the bend of that hook, so I can get a little curvature to this thing. Maybe one good wrap, two good wraps, snug it. And what I want to focus on doing is now I want to pull that crystal flash back out of the way, maybe even wrap a wrap around it. And I want to do a spiral wrap up this amber rib, keeping the rib on the top and creating this segmented look underneath it. Just gives it another layer of detail. And all the while I'm keeping that vinyl right on the top of the hook. A couple wraps. I've got my red crystal flash that I'm going to pull forward and put a wrap on. Stay behind that bead. I'm just going to put a single on there, and I want to kind of tuck that and push it up underneath that hook. Trim that front off. Put another wrap. Now what I want to do is I want to take that vinyl and I want to wrap it one right after the other. And I want to make sure that I keep that red crystal flash on the bottom of the hook. And I'm wrapping one wrap right after the other. Almost on top of each other, but lay it right beside it. Get it right up here behind the bead. I think I can sneak that last one in there. I'm going to take that thread and I'm going to wrap, sorry about that, right behind the vinyl. I'm going to pull that in tight. Trim. Add a few more thread wraps. Finish off with a whip finish. And trim it up. So if you look at this as we turn it, you'll see that it's very segmented. You can sort of start to see that red right in there as I've wrapped it underneath. So it kind of looks like a blood vein running right through there. And if you look really close, you can kind of see the black rib that we've put underneath. It creates a little bit more segment to it. And you can get real creative with this. You can use different color threads, different color rib, and it'll cause you to have different segment patterns underneath, different color pieces of flash. And you can just combine all the colors and fish them until you figure out what the fish want for the day. But midges are one of the staples in Kentucky tailwaters, and I highly suggest using them.